Take two, because I forgot to actually turn on my mic. Hey everybody on YouTube, this is Super Nintendo. Welcome to my video where I am going to be talking about Star Wars. In this video, Episode 4, A New Hope. Now, what this video series is going to be is, it's like a review where I will go through my thoughts, what I liked, what I didn't like about these movies, and kind of, give my thoughts. I will not be going over a plot summary because everybody and their mom knows about Star Wars. So, yeah. Before I begin this, a few things to get off the bat. First, I'm watching all of these movies on Disney Plus. Disney Plus has the enhanced versions of the original trilogy. At least Episode 4, A New Hope, because reasons. So, if there is something in this enhanced version of the movie that is not present in the original, I'm sorry, but I am still going to be talking about it. I am going to be fair, though, because it's blatantly obvious what effects are new and what effects are the originals, or at least close enough. Another thing to keep in mind is, aside from a few things, which I will get to my history of the Star Wars franchise in just a moment, I'm a complete noob. As far as my history goes, I have researched the franchise a couple of different times. I have seen the Star Wars Clone Wars animated movie that came in theaters, I want to say in 2012. I have seen a couple episodes here and there of the Star Wars Clone Wars series. I have seen the Family Guy Star Wars movies. I've seen tons of Star Wars Robot Chicken sketches and Star Wars jokes in general. I've seen clips here and there of parts of the movies before. I think I watched episode 3 and one time when I was really young, but I do not remember anything of that movie. Like, seriously, anything. I don't remember anything. I also have played Star Wars Force Unleashed on the PS2, I think. Although I wasn't able to finish the game because my disc was really scratched up, so I could not really finish the game. But, that is my Star Wars, that is my general Star Wars experience. I have not seen the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, or the new trilogy all the way through. I have seen, like I said, I have seen clips here and there, but I've also seen reviews of certain movies in the franchise, like Force Unleashed and Solo and Rogue One and whatnot. I'm also not going to be watching Rogue One or Solo. I'm strictly watching episodes 1 through 7, but I'm going in chronological order, or I guess release order. I'm going with the original trilogy, then the prequels, then the new trilogy, because that's how they came out. So, enough with all that. Nearly 5 minutes in, let's get into the purpose of this video. So, I think first I should talk about the things that I liked, because there's actually, even though these are big things about the movie, there's not a whole lot for me to say. I did love the music. I love the orchestra sound of the movie. It sounds very space age and emotional, but also very epic. I've heard a couple of these songs before, but seeing them in this movie, just it's fantastic. The acting from some of the actors, from a lot of the actors in this movie actually, is still really phenomenal. They really feel like they have been in this universe for years. Particularly the person playing Han. Like, he really feels like he's just this sleazy douchebag bounty hunter character that has been in this universe for decades, really. And I love how just sucked into their roles a lot of the actors are. Except for Mark Hamill and a few actors I don't like in here is Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. I want to say Marissa Tomei, but I don't think that's right. As Leia. I don't know the names of the actors who played the characters. I'm sorry. The guy who played Vader also, I don't like him particularly in his introductory scene. He just sounds so goofy. He just sounds so freaking goofy. Like that one scene. Like that one scene where he's like, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." Like, I heard people quote that, and I've seen, like, parodies and, like, joke scenes and, like, recreations of that scene. But, like, I always kind of pictured him as, like, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." And, like, the way that he says it, it's so freaking funny to me. It's like, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." It's like, I don't know why. It's just the way that he's doing it is so funny to me. And I don't know if it's the acting of the time or if it's just the voice. You know, like, even then, like, the voice kind of sounds, like, cool and menacing. So I think it's... I don't know if it's the directing or if it's the acting, but it's just... Darth Vader cracks me up. I'm not scared of him. It's just... I'm laughing at him because his voice is so freaking funny to me. You know, it's just... I don't know. Also, one thing I like in retrospect that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the movie and is more so geared towards my mother, who I kind of hope is watching this movie right now. It's stated multiple times in this in this first movie that the Jedi Order is a religion. I win. To give context to that, me and my mother, like 2 years ago, had like this big freaking argument about the Jedi Order. Is like, I mentioned like, oh, the Jedi is like a religion, you know, like, she's like, no, it isn't. Yeah, it is. The Jedi Order is a religion based around the Force and whatnot. It's stated outright multiple times that that's what it is. In this movie alone, it's mentioned like 5 times. So, but enough of that patting myself on the back for winning an argument with my mother 2 years after the fact. Even though I won it like the same frickin' day, but my mom is just as stubborn as me. Another thing that I liked about the movie is the sets. The sets, and I get some of the costumes, not all of them, but the sets really feel like, particularly when you're like there, like when R2 is roaming around the wilderness on his own. It really kind of feels like he's like on this alien desert planet. You know, it doesn't feel like he is like on a CG background and stuff. That's one thing that I really enjoyed coming into this movie, is that because of the time period in which this movie was made, CG hadn't really took off. I don't think CG really even took off until like I want to say 1998 with Terminator 2. I think that's when that movie came out. Maybe it's 92. And like CG was not really a thing, or at least it wasn't a big thing at that time. So seeing all these practical effects and all these and these actual sets was a breath of fresh air for me. You know, it was like, contrary to my age, I've actually seen a few older movies, like the Child's Play movies. For me, like those the Child's Play movies are my favorite horror movie franchise, because of the fact that part of the reason why is because Chucky himself is an animatronic puppet. He is a practical effect. He isn't a CGI character. So there's, in some respects, it's very limiting, but it's also like you can be very creative to try to get around that. Like in the case of the first movie, they had like a midget woman dress up in a Chucky outfit during more complicated scenes where they need Chucky to be more mobile than the puppet really allowed for. But getting back to Star Wars, you know, I love the sets and the lighting and whatnot. Like, it really kind of it felt very refreshing. It felt like they were really on an alien planet in some instances. The costume design also kind of goes with that, and a lot like C-3PO, like that robot, or not C-3PO, R2-D2. R2-D2 looks really freaking good for this first movie, and I realized that the Star Wars this movie was not intended to be part of a bigger franchise. This was just intended to be a one-off movie, but like R2-D2 in general, like, he looks so freaking good. He looks like he's an actual robot, and it's just great, you know. Like C-3PO though, it's blatantly obvious it's just a man in a costume and whatnot, and it's, I don't know, it's a little charming, but C-3PO in general already kind of annoys me. I'll get into that in a moment, but yeah. Another thing that I liked is that even though this is a movie, it didn't feel like it. This will sound a little weird, but this doesn't really feel like a movie to me, or even like a rock opera or space opera or anything. It feels like this is like a TV show. Like they slapped 3 episodes of a TV show together. You know, it feels like from the point where like the beginning of the movie all the way to maybe more than 3 episodes. It kind of feels like maybe 4 episodes kind of slapped together. You know, it doesn't feel like a movie per se. It feels more like a TV show. You know, it doesn't. I like that. You know, it kind of feels more I don't know, things don't flow like they do in a movie, right? Like in a movie, they kind of have to go from point A to point B to point B to point B to point C and whatnot. They have to do that stuff really snappy. But here, there's so many moments where the characters just take time to breathe and just be that you don't really see in movies, particularly nowadays, where they just have to cram so much in. But this movie, like I said, it takes its time to just breathe, let the characters be. There's a point in the movie where Luke just walks out of his little house and just looks he just looks distantly into he looks longingly into the distance as he watches the two suns on his planet fade. No dialogue, nothing, just him being there with music. And this is a scene that you wouldn't really get from movies nowadays. Like, that's a very artistic thing. You know, it's a very, like I said, it allows the character to just breathe and be. You just take in the emotion and the scope of everything. And I got a feeling like back in the day when this movie first came out, like that moment in general was just like, wow, you know. And although it doesn't have quite the same punch nowadays, at least I don't feel it does, I appreciate that moment a lot, you know, for the reasons that I mentioned before. Another thing that I liked is the battles themselves, like especially the ending battle with the X-Wings and going into the trenches and whatnot. Like, I really like that. You know, I like how they go in with a couple of people first, and then they try to shoot it in. And although that kind of seems pointless in retrospect, it kind of shows just how much of a tough shot it is to shoot photon torpedoes into the little ventilation shaft. You know, it shows just how much of a tough shot and how hard it is to even get to that point in the first place. And then to see Luke go into there and use the Force, to kind of aim his torpedoes. At least I feel that's what he's doing. He shoots the torpedoes, and I feel like he uses the Force to maneuver the torpedoes to go to where they need to go. I don't know if that's precisely what's going on, but that's what it kind of felt like to me. And another thing that I liked about that scene, about that fight, was you feel the speed, the crampedness, the tension as the different fighters are in their little pods, in their little spaceships, doing different maneuvers and whatnot. And although when the characters are like, oh, I can't get them off my tail, I just want to shout, dual barrel roll. I don't know, I just kept thinking of Star Fox. Am I the only one who was thinking of that? Like, I know that Star Fox came out after the fact, but that's what I was thinking of. I've never played Star Fox, but I've been watching the Runaway Guys playthrough of Star Fox 64, and it's great. But back on topic, you know, like that, I really like that dogfight scene. I also kind of like how Leia is characterized very early on as having a princess with an attitude. It never once came off as though like we have to create a strong female character, one who can be just as capable as the guys. Like, no, she just kind of felt like a real character, just like I'm done with everybody's shit, you know. Especially when she started like her banter with Han, especially with Han Solo, and it's just like these are two very strong personalities, just butting heads, trying to figure out just like which one's gonna come out on top here. You know, I really like that. You know, she's also not just a damsel in distress. Like, she's shown multiple times in this movie alone that she knows her way around a blaster, that she is a fighter, which makes sense because she's supposed to be like a member of the Resistance or a leader or something, and she, like, if she was just this passive Princess Peach type character, like, I don't think that would have been like, really? Like, you're part of the Resistance? You're just a very passive little female character, like, doesn't do shit, you know, like, but no, like, she's actually like a strong personality, you know, and I like that. It's more than what we get nowadays with characters that are supposed to be strong female characters and they're bland as bread. You know, Captain Marvel. But yeah, it's you know, that's one thing I liked. But enough about that. Let me get into stuff that I didn't like about this movie. Next time!